and not what means the most. I don't know. That's just
one reference they made in the movie that I don't know. It was very quiet when I laughed at it, so I felt silly. But the guy wrote "Samo" on the wall and with a little copyright logo, which was name of the original tagger and one of the original graffiti artists named Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh yeah.
Who worked with Andy Warhol.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they hung out together or whatever. But I thought that was really great, showing it was kind of look at what we're doing. We're acknowledging that what we are doing is a reproduction of something that happened a long time ago. I mean, it's like
yeah, they can't
you had
handle it.
You know, it's like you had it was him and Warhol basically starting a movement, unbeknownst to them. They were starting a movement that would take place, and there was the art that was in it was amazing, but there was nothing completely original about it. You know.
No.
It was Warhol and Basquiat Part 2, you know?
And Brainwashes, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Mr. Brainwash.
Terry. He's the ultimate culmination of what that is. It's like commercialization of, it was like what they had times 10, and it's like, oh my god, he's destroying what we've built, and it's like, you built this.
The MTV of street art.
Yeah, it's you created this.
It's they're against commercialism because they're doing it, and what they're doing is basically free commercialism.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing the same thing that every commercial is doing. They're throwing it in your face, and you're like, oh, it's so edgy, it's being thrown in my face, but it's also being sold to you, and you're buying it. Mm-hmm. I'm buying it. We're all buying it.
Yeah.
You know?
The one thing I didn't like with the actual movie itself, the way it played out, it was kind of like that they didn't know how they were very confused in their presentation of the story. It's like they wanted to, when you're adulate him for being this idiot savant who's creative and just was really into the scene and did all these cool things capturing the artist. But at the same time, there's this hidden resentment toward him you don't learn about. It's kind of like, let's make fun of him and his idiot savantness and how he doesn't realize all these cool things he's doing. He's just some coolest guy who has a camera and he has no idea what he's actually doing and how cool it is. And then it's so fun to make fun of him and be condescending to the cool things, to the things he's doing. The moment it threatens their own work and he actually starts doing the thing they're doing, they turn him into this maniacal guy who knows what he's doing. This guy had all planned all along to do this. Somehow he's this evil genius who had planned this before he was idiot savant. You all laughed at it. It's like, well, what do you want us to see? You've given us 45 minutes of this guy in a very light-hearted tone where you're having us to root for him, and then you turn it around and you're saying, look what he did.
Well, it's
evil.
because he changes.
Right.
You see him laying out on the lawn talking about how, I'm so successful, and all these things.
Yeah.
It's his character changes and he becomes one of them.
Oh, he's totally smug. And
totally.
It's confusing to think what they wanted us to perceive in that movie, because in the end they're going to give you this really ugly picture of this guy. Mm-hmm. So it's you feel a little manipulated. Well, what do you want? 10 minutes ago, Banksy was saying this guy was amazing and cool, and he was one of his closest friends, and now you're saying this guy can't be trusted. It's kind of was your whole point the whole movie before to say that? What was the direction? Because it kind of throws the audience off, I think. It threw me off into okay, now I think something completely different of this guy.
There was a point where Banksy was saying, about some of his work, or no, it was another one of the artists that said, I don't know who he got to do this and that, but they acknowledged that they're good ideas, but the fact was, it's almost like these amazing artists, the Shepard Fairys, the Banksys, the Space Invaders, these different guys. They were even showing other artists like Miss Van and Swoon and different people like that. These people have the ideas and they have the abilities.
Right.
Now, he didn't have that. He didn't have both. He was an idea guy, but he didn't have the abilities. So what did he do? He contracted people. He got other artists' abilities and said, look, you know what you're capable of doing, and I have these ideas, so I need you to execute them. And does that make him the artist? No. It makes his, I don't know what you call it, his, what would you call it? Mr. Brainwash Incorporated as an artistic entity.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he is an artist.
No.
He comes off at the end. They're upset because he's coming off as a successful artist, but he's the one he's not really producing anything. You know, he's directing, but he's not producing.
It's just
you know what I'm saying?
to me, it's a confused portrait. It's like, what do you want us to see out of this? You know what I mean? Because like, it's just to me, it was like all of this cool stuff that half of it was about. It was like 2 movies to me. One half was about this guy who didn't know what he was doing, who documented all this amazing work and the friends he made and all this stuff. Documented everything and all the amazing work he did, and it was kind of like it was like this movie where you want to sympathize with this guy who was like. It's just like to me it's 2 split movies. One is this exploration, this guy's discovery of this world, and we're in his footsteps as it happens. And then all of a sudden, like hour and 15 minutes in, you go to this completely different viewpoint where they're saying step out of that and now look at the monster.
Well,
I have something to say.
Oh, okay.
I have something to say on both things.
Yes.
First, I want to say, are you saying that the fact that he didn't actually create his art makes him not the artist? Because I mean, there were elements where he was doing the art.
And some artists did.
We saw him painting. We saw him spray painting.
Fair enough.
Okay, but then also, are you saying that someone who directs something is not an artist? Because I feel like people like our dear friends Candace and Andrew are artistic and creative people, and what they produce is like right now we are talking. But they are the ones who are going to be editing, and they're the ones who are going to be doing the work on this whole thing. So they are the artists. We're just the players, right? Okay. So can't he be the artist, and then the people that he hires be the players?
Well, he's got an artistic mind, but he doesn't have the artistic ability.
But what is the difference between an artistic mind and an artistic ability? It doesn't mean anything. If you have the ideas, you're creative. That makes you an artist.
There were people doing that too.
Yeah.
There were other street artists doing the same thing when they were more successful.
Fair enough.
For sure. And I feel like on Candace's point where there were 2 separate areas of the movie, I feel like maybe what they were saying in the beginning was, you know what? He's a nice guy. Like, he doesn't really have all of the talent that we have, or the drive that we have, or he has the drive. He doesn't really have the talent, but he has the motivation. And if you want to buy his art, I feel like the end point of the story was, if you want to buy his art, that's fine, but why don't you just realize right now we're going to go ahead and tell you point blank that his art is our art.
And it felt to me like it changed the entire intent of the movie. It felt like they had misled my trust in what the movie was about. It's like, oh, we're all about this cool story. Let's look at this guy's life and put you in his footsteps and see what he did. But at the end, we want to leave you with something really disturbing about this guy. It's like, for what reason? What was the point of leaving it there?
Here's why. Now, you look at it and you're like, oh, Terry's the one making this film. No, that's not the case. Terry isn't the one making the film. Terry is the one often filming, but that wasn't the case. Remember his original version of the film in that was like a jumbled madness of random tapes that didn't even have anything to do with street art.
I will say that it was very French.
It was very French.
Yeah. It was extremely French.
But there wasn't nearly enough smoking. but the thing was, Banksy is the one that says, like, so I thought, hey, if he can do that, that crap, then I think I could take a crack at editing. So what's almost implied by that is Banksy saying, look, this guy, he's got a great idea going here. You know what I'm saying? He put some good things together, but he needs real nitty-gritty artists to execute it.
He needs direction?
Kinda.
And so Banksy did what he did, exactly.
Right. So, I mean, like, the whole point is, like, they're all the same kind of people. Yet like, everybody uses each other for something.
Right, and there's this they mark him as, like, and when you look at the movie, you're like, they wanted you to feel bad, like, think this guy was a bad guy, and it's like,
they're
wait
a little
minute.
hypocritical, yeah.
Very hypocritical.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, okay, you're really not saying, you're sending a confused message to us. I can see through that. I can see that you're bitter and disturbed by this, as you should be, but it's like, you can't try to present this, idea of something in a movie, and we see it right away. We see right through to what you're really saying.
Right.
What you're really saying is, this idiot got some cool stuff, and now look what he's done,
Okay. So I have one question since we're running out of time.